A mop drags across marble at 3 a.m. A voice snaps, "You, invisible, keep moving." He does. His name tag reads, Jun Park, night janitor, gray uniform, squeaking cart, a bucket of dirty water. Every executive walks past him like he is furniture. Nobody looks twice. But Jun Park is not Jun Park. He is Kang Tae-jun, the hidden heir and future chairman of the Seonghwa Group. The empire he pushes a mop through at night is the empire he secretly owns. Under his collar hides a black and gray tiger tattoo, curling up his neck, tucked away where no one can see it. His father has collapsed. Somewhere inside these gleaming towers, a traitor is feeding the company to enemies, so the heir put on a janitor's uniform to hunt him. Then comes Amara Brooks, 29, a black administrative assistant in legal and compliance, waist-length knotless braids, working late to support her younger brother. The whole building treats the janitor like a ghost. Amara treats him like a man, a quiet good evening, a held elevator, a name spoken out loud. She has no idea who he really is. She has no idea what her kindness is about to set in motion. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. The mop slapped against marble at 2 in the morning, and Jun Park kept his head down. Above him, the atrium of Seonghwa Group climbed 40 floors into darkness. Down here, only the hum of a floor buffer and the squeak of wet rubber. He pushed the bucket past the security desk, where a guard scrolled his phone without looking up. "You missed a spot, janitor." Jun turned. Yoo Soo-min stood at the elevator bank, heels in one hand, a champagne flush on her cheeks. She pointed a lazy finger at a coffee ring near the fountain. "Clean it before someone slips," she said. "That's your whole job, isn't it?" He bowed. He crossed the floor, knelt, and wiped the stain until the marble threw back her reflection. She was already gone by the time he stood. The tattoo itched under his sleeve. A tiger, inked from wrist to shoulder the year his father named him successor, now sealed beneath a compression sleeve and a size too big uniform. Every night he checked the cuff before the shift. Every night it stayed hidden. He wheeled the bucket toward the legal wing. That floor stayed lit past midnight, always, and tonight, a single desk lamp burned in the compliance department. A woman worked beneath it. Waist-length braids swept over one shoulder as she stacked folders, phone wedged against her ear. "Isaiah, I sent the tuition portal the money," Amara Brooks said. "Check again in the morning." A pause. "No. Eat something first, then study." She hung up and pressed her thumbs into her eyes. Jun emptied the bin by her door without a sound. She glanced up, startled, then softened. "Sorry, you're new." She nudged a wrapped rice roll across the desk. "Take it. I always order too much." He hesitated. Nobody in this building had offered him anything but orders. "Thank you," he said, and took it. She was already back in her folders. He moved on down the corridor, and the small warmth of the gesture followed him like a splinter he couldn't place. At the far end sat Director Han's office. The nameplate read, Han Jae-sung, Legal Compliance. The door stood open 2 inches, light spilling out. Jun slowed. Voices. "The shipment clears customs Friday," Han murmured. "Choi's people handle the rest." Jun set his bucket down and did not breathe. "And the old man?" a second voice asked, tinny, from a speaker. "Kang Dong-wook won't last the quarter. His doctors already know." A soft laugh. "By the time the sun notices, we'll own the board." Jun's hand tightened on the mop handle until the plastic groaned. Inside, a chair rolled back. Jun grabbed the bucket and pushed off, wheels rattling, and by the time Han's door swung wide, he was 3 offices down, scrubbing a spotless baseboard like it owed him money. Han watched the janitors bent back for a long moment, Then he locked his office and walked to the elevator. Jun waited until the numbers stopped climbing. He rose. His phone was already in his hand. The line clicked. Min Sok. "It's me," Jun said. "Han is dirty. He's moving with Choi. Friday, a shipment through customs." He kept his voice flat, a whisper against the dark corridor. "And he says, my father is dying, that the doctors already told them." Park Min-suk exhaled on the other end. "Tae-jun, don't call me that here." Jun's eyes swept the empty hall. "Nobody knows. Keep it that way. Your father collapsed an hour ago." The words landed like a fist. Jun steadied himself against the wall. "He's stable. At the estate. Min-sok, listen." Jun's jaw worked. "If I surface now, Han runs. The evidence walks with him, so I stay a janitor. I clean their floors and I watch their hands." "You can't do this alone." "I'm not." He glanced back toward the compliance department, where one lamp still glowed. "You're the only one who knows my face. Keep it that way, or people around me start dying." Silence hummed. "Understood, Chairman," Min-suk said quietly. Jun ended the call. He stood in the corridor and let the building breathe around him. The hum, the distant elevator, the tick of a cooling vent. Somewhere above, men were carving up his family while his father lay strapped to machines. He rolled the bucket back toward the compliance wing. Amara was gathering her coat now, bag over her shoulder, the rice rolls twin still sitting untouched on her desk. She caught him watching and lifted a tired hand in goodbye. He nodded once. She had no idea whose floors she'd just fed. Little did she know that within a week, her name would sit on the same list Han had whispered into that speaker. Jun waited until the elevator swallowed her. Then he crossed to Han's door. The lock was a standard cylinder. He'd opened harder as a boy. He knelt, slid a thin blade from his cuff, and the tumblers gave in 6 seconds. Inside, the desk drawer held nothing, but the shredder bin beneath it held everything. A half-fed sheet caught in the teeth, ledger columns in Han's neat hand, account numbers, a name at the top. Choi Hyun-sik. Jun photographed it. He fed the sheet back exactly as it hung. Down the hall, the elevator chimed, rising. Someone had swiped back in. Jun pocketed the phone, killed the desk lamp, and reached for his mop as the numbers climbed toward his floor. The doors opened on Amara Brooks, one shoe in her hand, the other snapped at the heel. She stopped when she saw him. "You're still here." "Machines don't clean themselves," Jun said. She laughed, and the sound surprised them both. She dropped into the nearest chair to inspect the ruined heel, and the chair tilted, one wheel gone loose beneath her. She grabbed the desk. Jun crossed the floor. He turned the chair, worked the wheel free with 2 fingers, and pressed it back until it clicked. "Better?" She rolled it once. "Better." He returned to his cart. She watched him guide the floor machine down the corridor, the pads humming against the tile, and she noticed he steered around the potted fern instead of through it, the way the day crew never bothered to. The next night, she brought 2 dinners. She set one on his cart without asking, a foam box of rice and stewed pork, and kept walking to her desk. Jun looked at the box. He ate standing, near the window, while she typed. Neither spoke. It was the first meal he had finished slowly in a month. Yoo Soo-min found them a week later. She came in past midnight for a forgotten tablet, saw the janitor eating at the counter, and her mouth thinned. "They let you sit up here now?" "He's on break," Amara said. "He can break in the stairwell." Amara stood. He can eat where a person eats. Yoo Soo-min's gaze flicked between them, calculating, then dismissed the whole scene with a turn of her heel. Her footsteps faded toward the elevator. Jun set down his chopsticks. "You didn't have to." "I know what I have to do," Amara said, and went back to her screen. He studied the line of her shoulders, the braids gathered over one of them, and something in his chest shifted that he did not name. She stayed late every night that week. June began to notice the pattern. She never touched the shared drives during the day. She waited until the floor emptied, then opened a folder she kept renamed after cleaning supplies, and she copied files onto a drive she wore on a cord under her collar. One night the copy stalled. She swore softly, hands frozen on the keyboard. "May I?" June said. She hesitated, then she stepped aside. He crouched at the tower, pulled the cable, reseated it, and the transfer resumed its crawl. He read 3 lines of the open document before she reached past him and dimmed the screen. "Thank you," she said. It meant, "Leave it." He left it. But he had seen the header, Seonghwa procurement, offshore routing, figures that did not add. At home, he could not sleep. Min-suk answered on the second ring. "You found something?" "She found it first," Jun said. "Amara Brooks, compliance clerk. She's building a case." A pause. "Against who?" "I don't know yet. She's careful." "So is whoever's stealing," Min-suk said. "Don't spook her." June watched the ceiling until dawn. The next evening he walked her to the subway because it had begun to rain and she had no umbrella and he did. They shared it badly, shoulders wet on the outside edges. At the turnstile, she stopped. "Why do you really work nights?" she asked. "Quiet pays better," he said. She almost believed it. She looked at his hands, too clean for the work, and let the question go. "Isaiah waits up for me," she said instead. "My brother. He's 21, codes until 3, forgets to eat. You carry him." "I carry us both." She swiped through. "Somebody has to." He stood in the rain after she descended, turning the words over. 2 days later, the pieces met. He had been photographing a vendor ledger left in the copy room, the same offshore account surfacing again, when he recognized the routing string. It matched a line from her screen. Their investigations were digging toward the same buried thing from opposite ends. He needed to know who sat at the center, so that night he waited until she stepped out, and he did something he was not proud of. He woke her screen with the badge she'd left charging. The evidence folder opened. Emails, approvals. A chain of signatures authorizing the offshore transfers, each one stamped by the same office. Compliance oversight. Director's authorization. June scrolled. The name at the top of every approval was not a stranger buried in accounting. It was Han Jae-sung, Amara's own supervisor, the man who signed her timesheets, who praised her thoroughness in meetings, who had assigned her the very audit she now feared to finish. The traitor was standing directly above her, one floor up, initialing the crimes she was risking her job to expose. June's hands went still on the desk. She thought she was building a case against a system. She was building it against the man who controlled whether she kept her badge. Down the corridor, the stairwell door breathed open. Han Jae-sung stepped onto the floor, coat still on, eyes moving to the one lit screen, to Amara's desk, to the janitor bent over it. "You," Han said. "What are you doing at her station?" June straightened, mop already in hand, face gone blank. "Wiping the keys, sir. Coffee spill." Han crossed the room slowly. He looked at the screen, dark now, then at the drawer, then at June's face, longer than a man looks at furniture. "I've seen you before," Han said. "I work here every night, sir." "No." Han's voice dropped. "Somewhere else." The elevator chimed behind them. Amara stepped out, saw her director standing over her desk, and stopped cold in the doorway, with 2 coffees going cold in her hands. Director Han was going through her drawer. Amara set both cups on the nearest desk and crossed the floor before she'd decided to. "That's my station," she said. He didn't look up. His hand emerged holding a slim folder she had never seen, sealed with the red compliance stamp, reserved for litigation the firm hadn't filed yet. He held it the way a man holds evidence. Whose is this then? I don't know what that is. The department had gone quiet in the way departments do when they smell blood. Keyboards stopped. Yoo Soo-min appeared at the glass wall of her office and stayed there, arms folded, watching a thing she wanted to remember accurately. Han opened the folder and turned it toward the room. Confidential merger notes, internal counsel only, the kind of document that ended careers and started indictments. Her name wasn't on it. It didn't need to be. It was sitting in her bag, which now sat open on her chair, unzipped by a hand that was not hers. I locked my files last night, Han said, loud enough. Someone opened them at 2:14. I was home at 2:14. Can you prove that? She could not, and he knew it. And the knowing was in his mouth, like something sweet. 2 floors down, a phone lit up on Choi Hyun-sik's desk, and a man Amara would never meet wrote her name on a list of things to be resolved by morning. Min-suk came through the double doors with 2 officers of building security, and the crowd parted for them the way water parts. Amara turned and found faces she recognized, the paralegal whose overtime she'd fixed, the clerk she'd covered for in March. Every one of them found something urgent to study on their monitors. Amara Brooks. Min-suk's voice was flat, professional, almost kind. Step away from the desk. Across the floor, mop bucket forgotten against the wall, Jun Park kept his eyes on the tile. Kang Tae-jun counted the exits out of habit and did nothing, because the moment he moved, 11 months of work died with the 2 agents whose lives depended on his cover, holding 1 more week. His jaw worked once. That was all he let himself. They walked her to the conference room with the glass walls so the department could keep watching. Han laid 3 pages on the table and uncapped a pen. A resignation and an admission, he said. Sign it, and the firm won't press charges. Refuse, and this becomes police. She read the first line. It confessed to theft she had not committed and named an accomplice who did not exist. Under the confession, a clause quietly released the firm from any liability regarding documents Amara might claim to possess. So that was the shape of it. They didn't fear what she'd stolen. They feared what she'd found. Where's your evidence I took anything? It's in your bag. You put it there. She said it evenly, for the record, for the cameras she prayed were running. At 2:14, you were in the building. I wasn't. Han's smile thinned. He hadn't expected her to know the badge logs cut both ways. Under the table, out of the sightline of the glass, her thumb moved across her phone. 1 tap sent the folder she'd copied at dawn. Han's real ledger, the wire routes, the name Choi Hyun-sik, up into an account that wasn't hers and wasn't the firm's. A second tap sent 4 words to a number saved as maintenance. The screen went dark. She turned it face down and folded her hands on top of it. I'm not signing that. You're finished here either way. Then I've got nothing left to protect you with. He gathered the pages too quickly. Min-suk's radio crackled, and he stepped out to answer it, and through the glass, Amara watched Yoo Soo-min mouth something to Han that made him check his watch. They were on a clock. She wondered whose. They gave her a cardboard box and 11 minutes. She used 3. A photo of Isaiah at his graduation, a spare charger, the mug he'd made her in the 8th grade with the handle glued back on. She left the ergonomic keyboard, the awards, the 10 years. On the way out, she texted her brother 1 line. Don't come to the apartment. Go to Deja's. Now. His reply came fast. 3 question marks, and then nothing, which meant he was already moving, which was the only mercy in the whole morning. The lobby was a gauntlet of averted eyes. The revolving door pushed her out into heat that hit like a hand. At the curb, a black sedan idled with its engine running and no one getting in or out. The passenger window came down 2 inches. A man inside was looking at her the way Han had looked at the folder, like she was a task, not a person. She turned left instead of right, toward the crowd at the crosswalk, toward witnesses. The sedan crept forward against the light. Behind her, on the 7th floor, Jun Park wheeled his cart into the freight elevator and let the doors close on his face. Inside the metal box, alone, Tae-jun pulled the burner from his sock and read the 4 words she'd sent to maintenance. "They have my copy. Run." She hadn't run. He knew that woman by now. She'd sent the warning and stayed in the light on purpose, betting a mugger wouldn't grab a woman on a busy street in daylight. She didn't know the men circling her weren't muggers. His thumb hovered over a number that would blow 11 months in a single call. 7 floors up, the elevator kept climbing, away from her. Down at the crosswalk, the light turned red, the crowd thickened, and the sedan's rear door opened onto the exact patch of sidewalk where Amara Brooks stood with a cardboard box in her arms and nowhere left to go. The rear door swung open, but the hand that reached out was Isaiah's, shoved forward by a guard who had followed Amara down 7 floors. The box hit the pavement. Contracts scattered across the wet crosswalk, and 2 men in dark coats closed the circle before the light turned green. Then Jun Park was there. He stepped between Amara and the guards without hurrying, the mop-stiff slouch he had worn for 11 months sliding off his shoulders like a coat he no longer needed. The men reached for him. He looked at their hands until the hands stopped. "Back to the lobby," he said. The voice was wrong for a janitor. Low, level, used to being obeyed. Director Han came out through the revolving door laughing. Tie loosened, a folder of the altered figures under his arm. "And what authority," he said, "does the man who cleans my toilets think he has?" Glass doors opened behind him. Park Min-sok walked out, flanked by the full security team, and every one of them stopped and bowed from the waist. Min-sok did not bow. He inclined his head, the way a soldier greets a commander he has waited a long time to salute. "Director Kang," he said. "The building is secured." Han's laugh died in his throat. Tae-jun reached up and folded the cheap glasses closed. He handed Min-sok a black drive no bigger than a thumb. 3 weeks of meetings with Choi, every contract you rewrote, every payment you buried in the maintenance budget. He pulled his collar down 2 inches. Along the side of his neck, black and gray ink caught the streetlight. A tiger, teeth bared, coiled toward the jaw. "You accused her to bury me. You only signed your own name." Guards seized Han before he finished shaping the word, "Wait." Amara stood in the scattered paper, and she did not move toward the man who had saved her. She had thought she would feel rescued. What arrived instead was colder. "You listened to me for months," she said. Her hands were steady. That was the frightening part. "You let me talk like you were nobody, like it was safe. It was safe. For you." She picked up a single page, folded it once, held it against her chest. "You wanted to know who people were when they thought you had no power. Now you know who I am." She met his eyes without blinking. "But I still don't know who you are." He had no answer that would fit in the space she left him. That was the moment he understood the cost, and he let it stand. Tires screamed at the corner. A van jumped the curb where the sedan had been. Choi Hyun-sik had not waited for his partner to fall quietly. Men poured out, and this time they did not want contracts, they wanted leverage, and leverage had a face and a brother. Isaiah was pulled backward before Amara could scream his name. Min-sok. 1 word. The 2 of them moved as one machine. The trail ended at an abandoned logistics warehouse across the river, roll doors half open, forklifts rusting in rows. Tae-jun came in through the loading bay, low and quiet, the disguise long gone and the tiger no longer hidden. Min-sok took the far stair. Amara and Isaiah were roped to a support column under a single swinging bulb, 4 men around them, Choi's lieutenant checking his watch like a man waiting for a train. It ended fast, in shadow and sound. A thrown wrench, a killed light, bodies folding in the dark before they understood the room had changed. When the bulb steadied again, the 4 men were on the floor and Isaiah was free, and Tae-jun was cutting Amara's ropes with a folding knife, his hands careful where they touched her wrists. Han was there too, dragged in by Choi as a bargaining chip, now kneeling on the concrete, one eye already swelling. He looked up at Tae-jun and understood exactly what a man like Tae-jun could do in a place like this, where no camera watched and no law reached. Do it, Han spat, because he could not imagine mercy that was not weakness. Tae-jun crouched. He held up the black drive between two fingers. This ends you slower, he said, in a courtroom, with your name on every page. He stood and turned his back, the deepest insult he had. Take him to the prosecutor, all of it. He chose the evidence over the easy thing. That was the sentence Amara heard, even if he never spoke it. Weeks folded past. He offered her a senior post, her own department, her own budget, a door with her name on it. She read the letter at her kitchen table and set it down. No, she slid her resignation across instead. I won't build anything on your favor. If I'm good, I'll prove it somewhere you don't own. He accepted it without arguing. That, more than any speech, told her he had finally learned to listen. He gutted the company. Corrupt executives walked out under their own scandals. An independent compliance office opened on the 4th floor, answerable to no one inside the building, and in the press release the investigation was credited by name, Amara Brooks, the assistant they had tried to bury. He found her on a Tuesday at a community employment center, sleeves rolled up, walking an immigrant welder, line by line, through a contract written to cheat him. No guards waited at the door, no suit, just a man in a plain coat holding his hands where she could see them. My name is Kang Tae-jun, he said. I lied to you. He did not step closer, but everything I felt when I was with you was real. She looked at him for a long moment, the welder's contract still in her hand. I'm not asking you to trust me, he said, only to let me earn it. Amara turned back to the worker, finished the clause, then glanced at the empty chair beside her. Sit, she said. Read the next page. He sat, and for the first time, he had nothing to hide. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Would you have seen the man behind the janitor's uniform, or walked past him like everyone else? Have you ever offered kindness to someone before you knew their name, their power, or what they could give you? And when you treat a person with dignity, for no reward, who are you really showing the world you are? Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about dignity, loyalty, and hidden truth, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.